Hey guys, Paul here, back at you with another Q&A. Everybody seems to love these Q&As. Happy to do them. If you've got questions you want me to answer in a future Q&A, put them in the comment section below. I'd be more than happy to try to get to them. Before we get into that, if you enjoy my video, please hit that like button. Also, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed. I get a ton of people watching my videos. Not that many people subscribing. The YouTube algorithm, unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know, but likes it better when you subscribe to my channel. I don't make shit for doing these, at least not right now. Maybe at some point I can monetize this channel. But until my subscriber count is up high enough, I can do no such thing. So I'd really appreciate you subscribing to my channel. If you want to get in contact with me, my contact information is below. If you want to DM me or follow me personally, my Instagram handle is down in the description section. It is Paul K. Barnett. You can also email me at bigp3rd@gmail.com. It is down in the section below. So let's dig into these. First question. I want to bulk up and put on some tissue. So how and when should I take carbs to not get a bubble gut? I'm 75 kilograms, 40 years of age, and want to get to 100 kilograms. Previously, I have gone to 92 kilograms before COVID. I do have some experience with PEDs. Would you suggest some strategies and supplements to keep my waist small during my bulk? Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here. For us in the USA's kilograms, 2.2 pounds. So, my man is 75 kilograms, so he's like 160 pounds, just doing the math off the top of my head. And he wants to get up to 220. That's a pretty hefty, hefty weight gain. I mean, that's like a 60-pound weight gain. Previously 92 kilograms. So I don't know. We're talking about 200 pounds before. Well, first of all, you're not going to do that quickly. You probably getting back up to the 92 would be not a big deal. I would also, it's also depends on what your body composition looked like. I mean, what was your body fat like at that weight? What is your body fat like now? I mean, realistically, so here's the thing. People don't understand. The probably the most impressive size gain I have ever seen was Big Ramy. There was a 5-year period where Big Ramy went from like 220 up to 290. So he had like a 70-pound weight gain and a muscle, pure muscle, 70 pound of muscle in a 5-year period. So if we look at that, that's probably the most impressive progress that any human has ever made, or right up there at the top. That's only 14 pounds of muscle per year. So we have to be realistic about the size we're going to put on. You're also over 40 years old. I know I've had people reach out to me, and I've talked about my 90-pound weight gain since my show. I've been up to 300 pounds before, so this is not like uncharted territory for me. It's not that hard to get back up to where you've been. But going into uncharted territory is tough. So realistically, the best, most impressive progress we've seen in human history it was Big Ramy, or one of the best, and it was 14 pounds a year. So put that in perspective. And we all know Ramy was loaded to the gills with PEDs. So realistically, you're looking at 5 to 10 pounds of muscle a year. If you're a gym bro, at 40 years old, probably more like 5 pounds a year. And so any weight that you put on that's in excess of that is just water and fat, to be honest with you. That's how you not get bloated and get a big gut. It's not really so much the food. It's just don't get fat. I think a lot of the big guts that you see with guys in the pros, it's not, people think it's GH or other thing or insulin. I don't think it's any of that. It's these guys are eating a shit ton of food. It's probably inflammation. it's probably visceral fat. I think a lot of these guys have visceral fat. I think a lot of them have inflamed livers from taking shit tons of orals and eating a ton of food. Because you'll see it like guys after the bodybuilding, they shrink back down to normal size. Like I see Dave Palumbo, he had a giant gut. Dorian Yates had a giant gut. And, he's thin now. Same thing with Dave Palumbo. He's thin now. So it wasn't organ growth. If it was organ growth, they would still have the giant gut. So it's probably inflammation and swelling and visceral fat. I do think you can get bloated up. I've had some guys knock me. They see my food videos where I really don't eat a ton of vegetables. One, I have IBS, so vegetables fuck my stomach up. But I also think when you're pounding a lot of carbs and food, sometimes eating a shit ton of vegetables will bloat you up. It's probably not the best for your health to avoid vegetables. But I think if you're trying to optimize caloric intake and put on size, which we're not optimizing health. It's two different things. Eating simple and easy to digest foods like rice will keep you from getting bloated up as well. So my thoughts on this, in summary, have realistic expectations on how much weight you can gain. 25 kilo or 60 pound weight gain, 55 pound, whatever. I think it's 55 pounds weight gain. That's going to take you 5 years, dude. Realistically, even if you're doing everything perfectly, that's 10 pounds of muscle a year. That's crazy. So let's have some realistic expectations. And keep your food to easy to digest stuff. I try to follow a FODMAP diet, and I'm going to do a video up on it at some point. But gastroenterologists recommend it for people with IBS, which I do have. These are foods that are non-inflammatory foods that your body doesn't have any kind of immune response to or cause gastric distress. And I think that keeps you from getting bloated. All right. That was a long answer. Next question. How long does it take Deca to hit peak concentrations? Well, you got to keep in mind, Deca has a 15-day ester. So your first shot, this is your first shot, is not going to hit peak concentration until 15 days later. And these, at some point, I'm going to do a video with a steroid plotter so you can see how these things build. So think about this with Deca. It's the dosages are going to build upon each other. So if you're taking 300, let's say for simple math, let's say you're taking 100 milligrams on Monday, 100 milligrams on Wednesday, 100 milligrams on Friday every week. Those doses are going to build on each other over that period of time. It depends on how much you're taking, but it can take up to 2 months for you to hit peak concentrations with Deca, depending on the dose. And this is why I think it's stupid when people talk about, doing an 8-week cycle with Deca. You're really just getting going at 2 months, or same thing with EQ. It doesn't make any sense. You're just hitting peak concentrations at that time. It's also why I prefer to use NPP instead, because NPP has something like a 48-hour half-life, and you're going to hit peak concentrations like in 10 days. Anyway, that's all I got for that one. Next question. Have you used a PDE inhibitor, aka Cialis or Viagra, with your RX stack? I asked to see if it would lower your blood pressure too much or work in good synergy with all the other PEDs. I do know that some bodybuilders will use Viagra or Cialis for vascularity and for muscle pumps. It is a vasodilator. I don't react well to Cialis, and I know a lot of people don't. It gives me fucking headaches. It makes my nose stuffy. I feel like I have the flu. I just don't like Cialis. I'll be honest with you. It wrecks me. I will occasionally use Viagra. Um, it is quick and in and out of your system within a day. Cialis has something like a 72-hour half-life, so it can be in your system for weeks. And whereas Viagra is hours with the half-life. I will say, when I'm on contest prep and I have been using blood pressure medicines, I had a situation where my blood pressure got too low when I used a PDE inhibitor, and you have to be really careful with that. A lot of times when I'm doing contest prep, I have to come off of blood pressure medicine because my blood pressure drops because of the cardiovascular conditioning and weight drop. Also dropping a lot of water from using anti-estrogens and drier compounds. So something to keep in mind. Yes, it can, if you're using blood pressure medicines and you're mixing a PDE inhibitor in with it, you can have a dangerous drop in blood pressure. It's not cool. You'll stand up, feel like you're going to pass out. It's pretty wild. My blood pressure got down to like 90/50 at one point. So anyway, just something to keep in mind, something to be careful with. All right, next question. I don't know how many people have asked me this question. It's been a lot. Can I build muscle with Proviron only without stacking it with other steroids? And am I natural if I use Proviron? No, you are not natural if you use Proviron. Proviron is an AAS. Sorry, dude. If you want to be natural, be natural. If not, then just do it the right way. I wouldn't suspect you're going to build much of anything with just Proviron only. It doesn't really do a whole lot. I know it has a higher anabolic rating on the rat studies, but in practicality, everybody who uses it knows it doesn't do that. So my answer would be no, you're not going to really build any muscle with Proviron. Here's a question. This was a good one. Why use insulin and not try metformin? Well, they do two different things. Metformin increases insulin sensitivity, and insulin drives nutrients into the cell. So they do two different things, and they work synergistically together. So if you have increased insulin sensitivity, your insulin that you are using will work more efficiently. So really, they kind of work together. I do know that doctors, when somebody is diabetic, they will start them off on metformin first to try to maximize what insulin their body is still producing, because insulin sensitivity, cellular insulin sensitivity improves with metformin, and then thus you don't need as much insulin to accomplish the same job. But I honestly think they work synergistically and work great together. Okay, let's see here. Next question. Hey, Paul, I just finished up my first cycle and I didn't get the results I wanted. It was 500 milligrams of test per week. I'm doing PCT now with HCG. When I got my blood work done, my estrogen was at almost 300 and my total test was 200. What gives? Well, that sucks. 300 estrogen is terrible. I've been there before. It's probably the HCG. You probably crashed. A lot of guys will stop using aromatase inhibitors when they come off, and you probably should be using them for a period of time to keep from having an estrogen rebound. When you're using aromatase inhibitor on cycle and you stop using it, you're going to have an estrogen rebound afterwards. Also, if your total test is 200 after HCG, I do know some people never fully recover after using testosterone. And sometimes it can take 6 months, a year of using HCG to get yourself back to normal. If you are not there after a period of time or you're planning on cycling again, maybe you should just be on TRT year round and not fuck with the HCG and not have this hormone yo-yo where your test crashes and your estrogen blows up. Maybe you should have a protocol set up where you have stable hormone levels year round. I think that might be more productive. That's my 2 cents. All right, next question. What do you think of Ipamorelin? I think I probably screwed that up. This is just a peptide. It's an HGH secretagogue. Most of these peptides are bullshit. They don't do a whole lot, and they're expensive. If you want higher HGH levels, just use fucking HGH. It's just my 2 cents. Okay, next one. I'd be interested on your thoughts on just a regular Gym Bro cycle using how long test-only cycles can be beneficial. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so he wants a Gym Bro cycle. For a regular Gym Bro, I would stick with safe compounds. No reason to be blasting tren or orals or doing stupid shit like that. Probably would run test, at maybe slightly higher than HRT levels, and if you wanted to put a little size on, maybe add some sort of anabolic with it that's mild, like Primobolan or NPP. And if you have the money to burn, add a little GH to that. That if you do those 3 things, test, anabolic, GH, you're going to look great. And what I would do is do that for a blast going into the summertime, so you look great for the summer, and then probably just run TRT the rest of the year. Stay safe. Find a good doctor to work with that will prescribe you a TRT clinic. And that's what I would do. Just that's the simple way Gym Bro should handle it. Next question. What do you think is the best muscle gainer for 40 plus besides NPP or best over 40 cycle? Over 40, you got to start thinking about safety and longevity. So I would 100%, I say it over and over, and I don't know why people argue with me about it. I would not use orals at all if you're over 40 or harsh shit like tren. And maybe, if you're going to compete in contest prep, maybe the last month or 6 weeks before a contest, you can use tren. The last 2 to 4 weeks, you could use orals. Otherwise, I would stick with safe shit. Probably a great over 40 stack would be test, Primo, and HGH. I think that would be the holy trinity for any dude over 40. And that's going to get you in shape. I don't know what else I can say. Next question. I saw your video on Dorian Yates off-season cycle. I assumed he used some sort of aromatase inhibitor. Is that correct? No. There were no aromatase inhibitors when Dorian was competing. Those didn't come around until the late 90s, which is fucking nuts when you think about what he did. And a lot of what those guys did. They did have Novodex, which is a serum, not an aromatase inhibitor. I will remind you guys of that. So it's possible that he did use that. But there were no AIs when Dorian was competing, which is bananas to think about. He just had really good genes. He stayed super lean year-round. The leaner you stay, the less you convert test into estrogen. Your aromatase is lower when you're leaner. So that's probably how he did it. He stayed lean year-round, had good genes. Probably wasn't a heavy converter, and just got lucky, hit the genetic lottery. Last one. All right, I had to put this one in here. I had some dude said, you were wrong. Superdrol wasn't legal a decade ago. Well, here, what I found is Superdrol was sold as a pro hormone up until about 2011, 2010. And I think that at some point the FDA told these guys they couldn't sell it anymore, and then it was classified as a Schedule 3 substance in 2012. Anyway, that's all I got for today, guys. Take care. Hopefully this was helpful.